Yeah, take it away, Teresa.
All right,
Just trying
welcome
to get it up.
everybody. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, it's 3:31. Here we go. Curriculum Partners Remote Learning Support. I am Teresa Lopatron. We have Angela Cote and Steph Wood here today. Thanks for coming on Groundhog Day. And I heard he didn't see his shadow, so meaning we will have an early spring, let's hope. Also heard that that's only 30% true. So let's hope for an early spring.
Okay, I'll start us off with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land in which we are connecting through is part of the traditional territory of the Chippewa, Odawa, Potawatomi, and Delaware nations. By personally making a land acknowledgement, you are taking part in an act of reconciliation, honoring the land and Indigenous heritage. And this photo today that we're sharing with you is from our colleague Pam Gallant of beautiful Lake Huron just this past week.
So today we're going to be talking about Moat Chrome extension for slides, Google Forms and how it can be used, Ask to Join feature, which is a neat little idea that Steph just showed us this week, questions, success, and challenges, and the report card session that's coming up on Thursday.
All right. So for our Moat Chrome extension, I think I saw her join us. We have Vanessa from the virtual school. She was actually the one, welcome Vanessa, was the one who shared this extension with me. And after a little bit of playing around with it, I was like, we definitely need to share this out further. So I asked her if she'd be willing to come and walk us through how one would use it. Maybe if Vanessa, if you have anything prepared that you've already used before that you can show us how you've used it, that would be great. So welcome, Vanessa. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. I will stop sharing.
Okay.
So Vanessa, you're at the virtual school. You've been there all year, right?
Yeah.
And what do you teach there?
I have core French grades 1 to 8.
A little bit of everything. So yeah. So you'll see today, there's definitely a use in the language classroom for this extension, but I think you will also see how it can be used in any subject matter.
Yeah. So I'm going to share my screen. I have a couple different screens ready, but I've never shared a screen in Zoom. So
okay. Well, we can walk you through it if you need help.
All right. Let's see. So I'm not familiar with this. Can you share it right through your tab or it I had everything open in what's it called, in Google Chrome.
Yep. So when you hit share, the green share button, you should be able to see the Google Chrome window.
Okay, just one sec.
As an option. Every window that you have open on your computer will pop up as an option.
Oh, okay. I think I see it there. Just one sec. All right. So I guess I'll start with using it in Google Slides. So try that again. All right, here we go.
That's good.
Okay. So can you see my Google Slides now? Awesome. All right. So everything I've been using, I've kind of been just making up on my own, and I couldn't get audio to work very easily in Google Slides. So if you download the extension, you have your slide ready to go, and you click on the purple moat. And you click here to start recording. So if I just wanted this to say les yeux, and then click when you're done. You can hear it. Les yeux. And then if you like how it sounds, then click insert, and it just takes a second. And then there it is. And then on the side, you can click, like I've always just had it play on my click when I click on that icon, or you can have it play automatically when you present. So once it's in, and students can use this, they don't need to have the extension. So once you post your slides, that'll be there for them to just click and they can hear how to say the word in French correctly. Les yeux. That's what I've mostly used it for, but I imagine you could do the same thing in like your Google Docs as well. So if I try and add a voice note here.
It is a little bit different in
It is
Docs.
different?
I did play
Okay.
around with it. You can do a recording, like right up there at the very top, but it inserts as a link as opposed to like the button. It's not quite as nice as Slides. Slides is a little bit nicer, but you can do your recording. It inserts as a link, and then they click the link and it opens up in another window, the recording.
Okay, and then there was one other spot I've used it as well. I've used it on Google Classroom. So if I want to, for example, my one grade 2 class, they're not using Seesaw, they're using Classroom. So if I just wanted to give a voice comment, you can do that. So if you go in the comment section, the icon is there. So I can say like, bravo, done, and then post it. And it's right there for them to hit the play button and they can hear the feedback that you've given. So those are the 2 times that I've mostly used it, is just on Slides and in Google Classroom giving comments orally.
It's awesome for feedback. I can definitely see that, right? Being able to give students that oral feedback, right? Because we know many of our students respond better to that oral than a written.
Yeah. And you're never quite sure, well, at least with me being the kind of prep teacher, I'm not sure what level all the kids are at. So if they can even read my comments all of them when I write them in English.
Exactly.
So that way they know.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
and
you.
Like I said, that's basically how I.
That's awesome. No, but that's what I mean. It's so great. Definitely powerful for the second language learner. But I know we were talking all the different ways you might use it in any of your, like, it's a universal support, right? For any of those students that require the oral component along with the written, it's that support that you can provide quite easily for them.
Yeah.
Awesome. Are there any questions for Vanessa regarding the Moat Chrome extension? So you download that from the Chrome store.
Yeah.
It's a little purple M. It's called Moat. Any questions? You can put them in the chat or you're welcome to unmute.
It is pretty straightforward once you start playing around with it. One of the easier ones I've found.
So easy compared, because I know I've done recordings before and like insert them and like it's like you record in one app, insert in another. And what I also liked about this one I noticed is it saves them all automatically to your drive. All of your recordings are saved there in your drive, and automatically to the sharings is set appropriately so that when it's inserted in that slide, whatever the sharing is on the slides, so it is with the audio component, which that's not always the case.
Yeah.
Does it slow their slides down a lot? Are you finding that?
I haven't found it slowed mine down at all, but I usually stop and stay on one for a little bit, but I haven't noticed it makes it lag or anything.
Okay. Have you tried it on Jamboard?
I haven't used it with Jamboard. No, I haven't. I don't really use Jamboard. Just mostly Google.
I don't think it'll work on Jamboard. Steph, do you know by chance? No. We'll have to play around.
No, but I'll try it right now.
Of course you will. She's on it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Vanessa, for coming and certainly for sharing that tip. I loved it. It's definitely beneficial. So thank you. Okay, well then moving along. All right, We wanted to walk you through Google Forms and how you might use those in the virtual world. So we're going to show you how to create a form, sharing it out with students, and then lastly, how you're going to be able to view the data that the students provide. So we just thought the best way to do this was actually to model it step by step with you. And we will have you actually complete the form so that after we've sent it out, so that you will also be able to see how I'm able to view the data as the teacher. So to access forms, just at forms.google.com or up in the waffles, the other place you will find it. And my toolbar is in the way. Oh, well, we'll try and work without with it there. So when you first get to the landing page of forms, you will see there are some templates already up and ready to use for you. You can search for others up here. So you might want to, depending what you're doing with it, start with one of those and tweak it, make it your own. We're going to start with a blank to show you the steps to right from the beginning to creating your own. You'll see that you have two options here. There's a blank form and then a blank quiz. The difference between the two is that a quiz is something where you can assign marks and you can indicate the correct answer, so that it kind of does some marking for you, if you will. So I would say blank is more generally used for surveying. This would be more for a quiz or an assessment piece. So we're going to walk through that process. And Steph and Teresa, feel free to jump in at any time if there's questions that come up or if I'm forgetting something. So this is where you would put your title for your quiz. And then you have the option here. Okay. Anyone know how to move my toolbar, my Zoom toolbar? It's right smack in the middle.
You should be able to grab it and move it. I moved it the other day.
So I'm trying, but oh yeah, there it worked.
You have to grab it somewhere in between the buttons.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so then you have the option to start creating your questions. And Google Forms recognizes different types of questions. And if you click here, you will see the different types of questions that you can ask. More specifically, the type of answer that the students would use. Right, from short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, check boxes, there's drop down, there's a lot of different ones. We're going to just model a few of them today, just so you get a feel for it. And then I encourage you to play around with them and explore the other ones.
Just a reminder that nothing is recorded, like the name isn't recorded. So you want to make sure you ask for the student name when you're making your quiz, just to make sure that you have the student name with the information that they're inputting into the quiz.
Very important. Everyone does that once. You make that mistake once.
Then you have a whole quiz. You don't know who the answer
it belongs to. So yeah, definitely make your first thing their name, and that would be a short answer response. And here is where you will require, that means it forces them to fill in that question. You don't have to do that with all of them. It depends on the nature of the question. If you want them to absolutely to answer everything, then you turn that on for the questions. And this will be a short answer question. From there, I'm going to use this button to add another question. So my first question is just that, what is your name? And then we're going to do this, knowing you are my audience, I'm going to ask you, what subjects do you teach? So because I know you're all curriculum partners, there's a lot of options there. And you'll see that Forms automatically defaults to what they think the type of question will be. It's switched over to checkboxes, which is indeed what I want it to be. I want you to have the ability to check off all the different subjects I list. So then I put down the options. And then I'm just, for the sake of time, I'm going to write other instead of listing them all. But of course, you could list all of them and get as specific as you want. So when you get the survey, you'll have the option to check any of those.
And the nice thing with the checkboxes is they can choose multiple of them.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the difference between multiple choice, right? With multiple choice, it's one possible response. The checkboxes is there's multiple possibilities. Okay, I'm going to add another question. And for this one, I'm going to use the linear scale, and I'm just going to ask you, how are you feeling today? So linear scale, so that's the one where it says on a scale of 1 to 5, okay? So I'm gonna say a 1 is unhappy, and a 5 would be happy. So when you get it, you'll see that you can select anywhere in between 1 and 5. So that'll be a linear. Oh, and I am going to, sorry, forgot to turn that on. I am going to force you to answer all of the questions before you submit. If I don't do that, you would have the option to skip it. And I really do want you to answer them. I'm going to add another question here. And this one is going to be a multiple choice. And the reason I want to show you this one is because you can actually indicate what the correct answer is so that it'll automatically mark it for you. So this is where the power of the form can really be beneficial in your time management. So I'm going to ask you, how many days are there in this month? So again, I want it multiple choice. I'm going to give you some options. I'm going to say 28. 29. Okay, so there's the 4 options that the students will see. What I need to do here is indicate the answer key. Now, I didn't do this for the others because there was no right or wrong answer for the others. For this one, there is. So I'm going to indicate what the correct answer is that I'm looking for. And you also have the option if you want to assign points for it. If you just want it right or wrong, that's fine. If you want to actually have a mark at the end of it, a total number correct, you would add a point for that question. The other piece you can do is add answer feedback. And when you click that, you have the opportunity to type in something that's going to pop up if the student has an incorrect answer. So if they select the wrong thing, whatever you put in this little box is going to pop up on their screen. So it might be a clue, some sort of hint, some sort of instructional tip to help them along. Along with that, you can see there's an opportunity to embed a link or a YouTube video. So if they're getting something, if they got a question incorrect, you maybe have a link to instructional notes about it or a link to a YouTube video that demonstrates it so that they have a chance to retry that question. And you can do the same with a correct answer as well. And you would save that. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go through all of that, but know that that is there as an option. And the other thing we wanted to show you is very similar to what Vanessa just shared with us. She showed us the Moat Chrome extension, which works really, really well with slides. It doesn't work as well with forms. It will, you'll just get a link and then it opens up another window. What we did find was the extension called Talk and Comment, which is this one right here at the top of my screen. If you can see that where I'm pointing, it's called Talk and Comment. It will open up here. And what it'll do is works the exact same way. It'll record my voice and insert it right into the form. So again, to help those students that maybe do have some challenges with the decoding, it's there to support them. Our language students for sure benefit from that oral communication. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to click and I'm going to actually just read this question aloud. How many days are there in this month? So there it is. I can look at it. I can listen back if I wanted to. It's going to copy it to my clipboard. So I'm going to say okay. And then I indicate where I want it to go. Oops, I'm clicking away here.
You're gonna have to go back to, yeah, there you go.
And I'm going to Control V to paste it. And when I paste it in the working form right here, it looks just like this messy link. But you will see when I get to the student preview that it, well, let me do that right now for you. This is where you can preview what your form will look like from the student end. So this is what we have so far. And then here it is as a voice note. You probably didn't hear that because I didn't share my sound, did I? Yeah, okay. I heard it, it did work, but that was just with Zoom. I didn't share my sound with you. It was the only problem there. So that's another extension you might be interested in playing around with in supporting your, just to make your forms a little more accessible. Lastly, there's options to add an image or video. So if you have a YouTube, sorry, it's only YouTube videos. If you have a link you would like to add, so I'm going to make it a new question. Won't actually do it this time, but you just move that box so I can see. Going to click add video, and then I can either search right here for YouTube, or I can just enter the direct URL to the video I want to embed. And that will embed the video directly into your form so that the students can watch it, and then they can respond to whatever the question is below. Likewise with an image. So sometimes like diagrams, that sort of thing, you might want to do that. Okay, so that gives us a little bit of an example of how you might use a form. So to share it with your students, so again, I'd want to preview it. Always preview first to make sure it is indeed what you're looking for. I didn't come up with a very good title now that I'm thinking about sending it out to you, but so I have their name, and the red star indicates that the students will have to answer it, and I do want you to answer all of them, so I'm checking for that. What subjects do you teach? You can see it's the checkbox option. How are you feeling? There's the scale. And how many days in the month is our multiple choice, and students, it's indicated to students that if they get it correct, it's worth 1 point. So to share this out, so it was the preview mode. I'm going back to my original. I'm going to click send. And right here is where I'm going to get my link. I'm going to copy it. And in this case, I'm just going to drop it in the chat so that you can click it. And if you don't mind doing that right now, completing that quick little survey so that I can show you what it looks like when you receive the answers. And because I'm watching it live, as you guys are doing it right here, it indicates how many responses I've received. So I'll just wait until I get a bunch more in there. While we're waiting for everyone to complete it, are there any questions about what I showed so far?
I have a question, Angela. When I shared a form with my students last week, one class said, "Oh, Mademoiselle, I just clicked on translate and it translated it for me, and I didn't want them to." Is there a feature or something that I need? The shish kebab?
Right up here?
Is it in there somewhere?
I don't know. I've never heard of this, to be honest. But I mean, it doesn't surprise me because, I mean, Google has some pretty powerful translation tools, right?
They do. Maybe in the preferences, I don't know, but settings, I'm not sure if anybody has encountered that, but I thought, oh, you little rascals.
Yeah, right.
I wonder if the translation's already turned on.
Well, that's what I'm
so
thinking.
yeah,
or they
for
have
them.
that option to turn it on, right?
Yeah,
I think it's probably more on their end
That's what I
than
think too.
yours.
Okay.
I never thought of that before. You're right.
Yeah,
That's an issue when you're trying to teach the language.
ask them questions about what they know or yes.
Yes.
Anyway, that would be something that they have turned on. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's the only thing I can think of anyways, Jackie.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So I am going to take a look at the responses. We have 10 in there so far. We'll just keep moving along. So you have a couple ways of viewing this. The easiest, well, the first way you have to access it is, oh, we got another one there coming. Click on responses. And you have a few different ways of viewing. There's a spreadsheet option. You can view it a summary by the question or by each individual's responses. So if we look at the summary, you will see that everybody got 1 pointer because I only had the one multiple choice question. Looks like, or maybe we had 0.91. Somebody had it wrong. I'm not quite sure what that means there. That's 0 because it says 0.
I did answer it incorrectly. So you would
oh, that was you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, because it's an average. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's not a per person. This is the average. And these are the people who responded. And then here I have what subjects do you teach? And I can see I have 54% teach something other than the ones I listed above. 36% phys ed, 45% the arts, and 36% French. And the number beside it is the number of respondents, actual people. And how's everyone feeling today? We got a range of answers. We have 3 people that said 5, 3 people at 4, 3 people at 3. Nobody gave it a 2, and 2 people said 1. How many days are there in the month? We had 10 people answer it correctly, as indicated by the green, and we had 1 that did not. So that's the summary. You can also view it by the question. So the name one is, there's not much to view to that. Let's move along to a new question. What subjects do you teach? And this is hard because the name is not attached. It's better to view it as the individual. But I'm trying to think what question would make sense to view it in that way. Let's see, how are you feeling today? Yeah. So then the other option, I find usually by the individual, if I'm looking at a specific student and I want to know their exact answers, there's Steph. She indicated she teaches other. She gave a 3 for how she's feeling today. And she did not know how many days there were in the month. So it just breaks it down by student. So then you can scroll through and see all of each individual student's responses to the form. And the last part of that, so this one is presented quite nicely like that. The last thing you may want to look at is this button right up here. It's your create a spreadsheet. And I'm going to create a new one. And what it's going to do is it's going to take all of those responses and plunk them in a spreadsheet for me so that I have a 1-page view of everything. So again, why it's so important to have that name, so that when you're going through, you have a quick glance at all of them. Yeah. Are there questions? Lots of powerful uses for Google Forms. I think actually, Teresa, you're going to talk to us a little bit about that, right? How some of the uses for it?
Yep. So this,
sorry,
it's coming.
slow.
No, that's okay. Our internet's been slow today. So this slide here, it was found on the elementary program website, and you can find pages like this on a bunch of different things. So there's assessments in the virtual classroom on the elementary program page. And just to let you know, they have like drawing tools and Seesaw, Jamboard, running records for reading, breakout rooms for small groups, video submissions, Pear Deck, and Desmo activities. So if you want to check that out, it is on the elementary program page. But for this, we are just going to talk about what Google Forms does, and it personalizes quizzes and surveys for you. So it's a great at collecting data, as you saw, because you can connect the form to a spreadsheet, which can be useful, especially that most of you teach a lot of classes. So just making sure, like we said, make sure that name's on there, and maybe your title will be what the course is, just so you get organized that way. And the cool thing is that it goes in real time. Ways that you can use this form: it can be a diagnostic assessment, a summative assessment, it can be an exit ticket, reflection and opinions, math questions and formulas, and it suggests a couple other ones down there, like coding and what's the other one that I saw? I didn't write it down. Digital escape boxes, which I wasn't even sure what that was. So those are things that you can use it for. And on the one side of the page, it was just showing how you can pick what kind of form that you want to use, which makes it pretty awesome. And then the questions, like Angela went through each one for you, almost each one for you. It just gives that option for you to make it more specific for what you're teaching and try to draw out what you need from your students. So again, you can find all these on the elementary program page. I think I saw a question in the chat.
There is. Angela, could you just go back to the form for a second? Because you can turn it on to capture the email address that they're logged in as. It's just if they're using, say, their personal Gmail to log in, it will record that. So you'd have to know what their personal one was if they weren't logged in with their lkdsb.com. But the settings up at the top, the little gear, and
So
then collect email addresses.
Collect, and I can also restrict it or not restrict it, right? So if I'm collecting, that means it's going to give me their name, but that does mean they have to be logged in, obviously, with their account. Okay, if they log in with their parents' account or something like that, it could lead to some confusion on your part. You also have the ability to restrict it to only LKDSB users if you click that. But again, that means they have to be logged into their account. So depending on the age of your students, some are quite proficient and they know that. Others are using home devices and it's the parents' account, so then they wouldn't be able to access it. So you could turn that off, which means anyone will be able to access the form. If that makes sense. All right.
Thanks, Angela.
Yeah.
Any other questions about how we can use the assessment?
I wanted to quickly note on the Mote use for Google Forms, and it only provides a link, and so that's where the talk and comment Chrome extension that Angela pointed out is really handy for the Google Forms. And then I went to Google Slides to try talk and comment, and then it doesn't do, it just gives you a link. And so like you want to use Mote for Google Slides to give that nice little button.
Yes.
So
it is kind of frustrating.
Both really handy.
Yeah, but it is frustrating that you need two different ones for the best working ability for both. 100%. We went through the same thing. We're like, as if it's this complicated.
Right.
Yeah.
Why can't these guys collaborate?
Yeah, exactly. So Mote works best for slides, just to summarize for everyone. Mote is for slides, and then the talk and comment works best for forms in order to get that little button. Either one of them will work with each type of doc, whether it be a slide or form, but it'll just become a link that you click and it opens in a separate window. So it's definitely not as user friendly for the students. Thank you, Devin, for pointing that out.
Oh, and one thing maybe to note too is that when you're using, what was it? When you can share the form via direct link through email as well as through Google Classroom, which is kind of neat as well.
Okay.
So we just wanted to point this out if you weren't aware, if you wanted to control entry into your Google Meets, from inside the Google Meet, if you choose the host controls at the very bottom of the screen on a laptop, this meeting safety box will pop up. And you want to turn the quick access off, which would mean that students would have to ask to join, even if they're using their lkdsb.com email address. That way you can let students in at the time that you want them to come in. So it gives you a little bit more control. This can also be set up when you're setting up in Calendar. You just choose the little settings button that is right there with the green circle on it. It will pop up the menu that says quick access. You turn the quick access off, and then students have to ask to join. If you turn it on in the host settings inside the Meet, it will apply it to the Meet in the future, but it only applies to that Meet. So make sure you turn it on with the Meet that you're setting it up with.
Any questions about that for Steph? We've just had, we thought we'd show that. By no means are we saying you have to do this. We've just had some teachers reaching out, just they were having difficulties with some students. So if you are needing that level of control, it is an option there for you. But by no means do you have to do this. If things are going well for you and your students, just keep going.
Quick, there's a question. Can you quickly show how to switch host controls over, please?
What they mean by that is how to, when you may have a supply, is you may need to share your host controls over to someone else. And so I would have that issue too, because I would only get those options to admit students for their LKD, the ones that don't use LKDSB accounts, the few that sign in with their parents or grandma's accounts, and they require, no matter what type of access, you have to admit them because they're using an outside account to the LKDSB. You have to share host controls or just turn off host controls completely for your supply.
For your supply, okay.
Is there a option to switch host controls over? Is how I'm understanding the question. Is there a way to switch host controls over to someone else? And that I also have, I'm blocked by that as well. If anybody knows, that'd be really helpful.
Steph, are you looking
I
it up?
was working on it.
Yeah, teachers have told me it's possible. I haven't actually ever done it. I thought it was in Calendar. I'm just looking right now.
I thought so too. If you invite that person, my understanding was, and I've never
they're
tried
a guest
it.
though, then, right?
I don't know. I always thought, and again, I've never done it firsthand, so don't quote me on this, but I thought if you invited the person, then they had that ability, but I could be wrong.
Try to change them from guest to manager. So that specific teacher, because then there's going to be multiple guests. So you want to make sure you maybe, I'm going to test this out right now too. But when you click the meeting, share it to somebody.
Oh,
is there
I got
an
it.
option to change them to manager?
Yes.
Do you want to share your screen stuff? Are you able to share your screen?
Owner.
Yeah,
Yep,
sorry. Okay, I'll share my screen now just so that you can see. Because I had to walk through it. I knew it was possible, but I've never actually done it. So here I'm in my Meet, okay? And I added Teresa as a guest, and up here at the very top, which I don't think you need to do, at the very, very bottom, hold on, I'm gonna have to move my Zoom tools. Sorry. Okay. At the very bottom of this is change owner. Okay. And I would like the new owner to be, so you could put in your supply teacher, you could put in your prep coverage teacher. The trouble is that this has to be done every time you change a class. So you'd have to go into your calendar and transfer it back to the owner of the Meet.
Allison, does that help your question? Okay, great.
Figuring it out as we go, guys.
All right.
Would you have to have the supply teacher give you back? Yeah, so that supply teacher will have to be as well efficient in that kind of access to switching it back. You might be in your intro email to them, star that as
this
a note.
Is how you
give
do
me
it.
Back access
and then
to my class.
Screen capture the steps for sure.
Yep.
I know some teachers too, they've said they just have their supply teacher make their own Meet for that day. and then the
that
kids
makes sense.
normal the next day.
Yeah, I can see that with a supply teacher. It's one thing between a homeroom teacher and Rotary teacher, right? There's that certain level of comfort with changing ownership back and forth, but I can see the concern in giving out ownership to a supply teacher in case you never get it back. Awesome. That was good learning for everyone. Thank you. Where are we at?
We're at that point when we're asking if anyone has any questions or successes, which we love to hear, or challenges.
You can drop them in the chat, or you're welcome to unmute. The whole purpose of this time is for you to collaborate with your colleagues. We're living it with you every day.
Or if there's something else you have a question about, let us know, because we can always talk about it if there is one next week. But we're all going back to class, right?
We'll find out when. When's the find out date?
Tomorrow, I think.
Tomorrow.
I don't want to overwhelm the talking points. So like, I know I was trying to see if there were any questions. So jump on me if you do, so that I'll give it right back over. But I thought seeing Vanessa showing off a really cool app like that, or Chrome extension, I've noticed a lot of people when they're presenting their Google Slides, they really get annoyed with having to exit, edit, go back and forth. And there's this one quick extension someone showed me. I'll give it in the chat. It's called here, Live Present Slides. So while you're presenting the slides, you can edit the presentation.
Do you want to share your screen, Devin?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm also, Zoom is not my forte. So let's see how this works.
Green button at the bottom.
Yep, clicking that and sharing screen. Does it just share like tab?
Yeah, a window, so it'll be Chrome. Yeah.
I had to provide permission. Sorry about that. Here, so let's do specifically this tab. All right, so I'm showing you, this is the live present. If I click here, I'm now showing you the drive. I'll click Google Slide. I've now opened a Google Slide. Do you see that, right? All right, and this one, you need to click the extension to open it up, and then you have to quit the slide to leave it. But that's all it does, is once it's sitting up here, you just click it and it enters into edit mode and present mode. So for those seeing this, it would be presenting the screen for them, yet I can edit it as well. So I can move
you're seeing more than what we are, is what you're saying, Devin?
Yes. So are you only seeing, you're seeing the full presentation?
Yes.
Correct. And to me, if I change my viewing, so back here, sorry, Zoom learner.
It's all good.
I want to stop presenting my screen. So would I click?
Little red right at the toolbar, I believe is where it is. Can't see it now because I'm not sharing.
I have dual monitors, so now it's moved to
yeah.
All right, sorry. And now I'll present the my window. So now you can see the window. I have, let's close my email. And yes, there you go. This is what I'm witnessing, is kind of like an edit page versus UC. So I'll go back, but I can still change slides to the next slide. If we were to click and move over, you can get to your next slide. Apologies, I think I need to just test that out. I'm unable to change slides. That's where, so I'm going to test that out a little bit more, but I often think that this is, you said collaboration. This one was shared to me about 2 days ago.
Okay, there's so many cool extensions.
Really wanting to start using this. So I've shared it in the chat. I thought this would be a much nicer way to present for the students, that I don't have to change things, present back up, and they don't have to see all the slides on the side. So as a prep teacher, I have all my lessons kind of on one daily slide.
Yep.
And so this has been really handy for me. And I think that if you can find use cases, more to you.
Yeah, that's good. How has it been handy for him if he doesn't even know how to change slides right now? Question mark.
Sorry, Jackie, say that again.
Sorry, how do you change slides? Sorry.
That is exactly what I'm about to test out right
He's gonna
now.
play with it and figure it out for us.
I got the extension 2 days ago. I'm sorry.
It's
But
all
when I
good.
click
Oh,
it,
don't be sorry.
opens up the slide and full presentation mode. And no, it doesn't look like I can change slides. So it depends on if you're trying to do one slide, one show, but be able to add inside, like such as you're using it for a table. You have a table open for the students. Let me present an idea such as that. So you would have, I'd rather do the window. So you can see the whole window. Let's pretend I'll click refresh. That gives me my slides back. I'll go to here. Let's give a table in here. So insert table. And if I have shapes, we're doing voting, but I want to not be in this presentation or this edit mode anymore, and we're doing votes, I want to go into like my little, it's this called, I've added the Chrome section and it's called Live Present Slides. Opens that up as a slide for them. So if I, again, stop sharing and then go back to the tab, you'll see that now I can fit this, but you're seeing a presentation. Oh, except it's black.
Right. That's really cool though.
It's got a lot of, I think it has a lot of potential.
I think so too. Yeah. Because you
And,
don't, like you said, you don't have all the clutter around it and it's full screen that way for the students.
And what I learned out of this then maybe is that the most questions that you have generally, there's probably an extension somewhere of somebody trying to figure it out. It's probably in its early troubleshooting days, but definitely take a Google search to answer your questions. I've been finding a lot of answers that way.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing
Thanks,
that.
Evan.
I need a table of all of the extensions and their function because there's so many of them. It's hard to keep track of them all. All right. So just in the interest of time, we're going to keep going unless there's other questions at any point. Go ahead. We just wanted to remind you that the final report card training session is coming up on Thursday night, February the 4th. The previous two are recorded and you can find them on the elementary program blogspot, as well as on-demand video. So there's the full training, the session that was run by Pam Gallant. And then there's also on-demand videos and PDF files to support with report cards and assessment and evaluation. And we just quickly wanted to point out that this, you've maybe already discovered this today. It was causing a little bit of a flurry. Because today is the first day of our second term, TWIA has automatically switched over to the spring term. But you are actually in the process of finishing report cards for the winter term. So you will just have to toggle between to get back, because you might get on there and be like, what happened to my report cards? Where'd they go? So you will have to just switch over to the winter term, change from spring to winter, and they will still be there waiting for you. So that was just brought to our attention just before the session. If you need further support on that, definitely check out the session on Thursday, where Pam will be walking through this, as well as answering any of your questions and troubleshooting any challenges you might be having. All right. So with that, unless there are any further questions, we have the slide there. We'll maybe see you next week. Who knows if we're going to be back or what's going on next week. But definitely, if we're still at home working, we will be here next Tuesday with you. And drop us a line of what you would like us to feature. We love trying to reach out to our virtual teachers to see if they can share some of their expertise. So thank you to Vanessa and Devin for joining in the conversation today. And we wish you all a good week. Happy report card writing.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for coming.